Right on. Fresh criticism from church leaders over President Obama's health care law. Timothy Dolan, a cardinal, the Archbishop of New York, calling the contraception coverage requirement a radical intrusion on religious freedom. Here he is on CBS.
We didn't ask for this fight. I don't enjoy it at all. I wish I was on here, Face the Nation, answering other questions, and you probably do too. We didn't ask for the fight, but we're not going to back away from it. What I say is this: yeah, I don't think religion should be too involved in politics, but I also don't think the government and politics should be overly involved in the church, and that's our problem here.
Tony Sayegh, a Republican campaign consultant, national political correspondent for Talk Radio News Service, and Marjorie Clifton's a former consultant of the Obama team and national editor of GoVote.com, and both of you welcome here. I know you're both Catholics, so fit for this, and even if you weren't, there's something that really stretches into the far reaches of American society. Tony, what do you think of his comment, a radical intrusion?
You know, Bill, as a Catholic, we've always learned that there is a very strong separation of church and state. Very rarely have our church leaders gotten as vocal about any issue. And in this particular one, I think Cardinal Dolan has minced no words about his opposition to this. First of all, remember, he met with the president before this decision was made. He felt hoodwinked based on what the president said in private and what he did in public. The president made this decision against the counsel of Vice President and his chief of staff, Mr. Daley, both Catholics, and sided with Secretary Sebelius and Valerie Jarrett. So from the onset, the president has clearly made a calculation that the Catholic vote was not what he was so offended or rather nervous about offending. It was the women's vote and the intensity he'll get from that that he wanted to put a premium on, and this is what he engaged. A very
Margie, what do you think about that? You got 70 million Catholics versus, if you buy Tony's argument, that it's the woman vote, and especially the single women vote. What do you think?
Well, I think women are also over half of the Catholic Church, and quite frankly, I was surprised to see Archbishop Dolan out talking politics on Easter Sunday when the rest of us were at church and with our families. And I think that engaging in politics in this way is a dangerous thing. I think what the Obama administration showed was a willingness to have dialogue and absolutely keeps faith in mind, because we are people of faith, as are many women of faith. And I think what he smartly did was accommodate the church in making this a non-issue, as even most of the Catholic leaders have said, this is a non-issue. And
well,
frankly,
typically what he does is he agrees to do an interview at Easter Sunday every year anyway, and he was asked about this.
Right.
Now, I mentioned radical intrusion. I just want our audience to hear this, then I'll come back to both of you, okay? Roll this. Yeah.
You've got a dramatic, radical intrusion of a government bureaucracy into the internal life of the church. That bothers me. So hear me say, hey, I'd like to back away from this. I got other things to worry about and bigger fish to fry than this. Our problem is the government.
Well, remember what he said. We didn't ask for the fight, but we're not going to back away from it.
Well, that's right.
And now, Tony, this is something that's spoken about in every Catholic church just about every Sunday now for the past 2 months.
I've heard it, Bill, you know, from my own parish, from other people in my parish. And remember, Catholics aren't all monolithic. We don't all agree about the same exact policy. But when you do feel that your religious institutions are being undermined in this wholesale kind of way, to unite. And here's the president's real problem. This was supposed to be a slam dunk for him, right? I mean, we're going to galvanize the women's vote. Everyone's going to stand behind me. The polling is shifting because this has become an issue of religious freedom, the Constitution, and this is something that's come out of the health care bill, which in and of itself is unpopular.
I understand the point that you're making in a political sense here. So to Marjorie, in the time I have left, how do you believe, based on what Tony's arguing, how does this break now?
Well, this has been resolved within the Catholic Church. Right now what we're having is a separate debate on constitutionality. But within the Church, this is a non-issue. If you want to talk about political issues, we should be talking about especially life issues.
That's
right now, well, listen, right now what we're looking at is the death penalty. That is the biggest pro-life issue the Catholic Church should be focused on. Right now is being voted, the repeal is happening in Connecticut. Why are we talking about birth control?
We're talking about this, not the death penalty. What does the Cardinal, the Archbishop and Cardinal of New York gain by engaging in this conversation, the split-screen fight with the President of the United States? What does he gain?
I'll get you to answer that, Marjorie.
He's doing exactly...
He's defending his church. He's defending his parishioners. He's defending his faith. That's what he gains.
I am his church, and I have to be honest, this is not representative of what Catholic issues are right now. And he is not the only voice in the Catholic Church, and it's unfortunate that this is the stand he's choosing to take when there are so many other issues that are important.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks to you as well. that went in a direction I did not expect. But we'll continue to look at it and see where it goes. Thanks to both of you. 20 minutes past the hour.
Thank you.
Alice.
A massive fire erupting on a California freeway.